So, you guys know Ramapo. I think you said like the Ramapo property was bought about 60 years ago to make into the camp here. But before that, it was run by a family named Shoemaker. And the Shoemakers ran a camp here called Camp Friendly for a long time. Until one summer, well, I should back up. So the Shoemakers, there was a guy named Jacob Shoemaker who had run the camp for a long time, and he was running it with his son, whose name was Spencer Shoemaker. And then Spencer Shoemaker's son, whose name was Vincent. So there was Jacob Shoemaker, Spencer Shoemaker, and Vincent Shoemaker. So one summer, and this was back in like the 1940s, a group of kids went missing on a hike. And the Shoemakers, like the counselors couldn't figure out what was going on. They called the Jacob Shoemaker, what's going on? Nobody knew what was going on. They called the local police. Nobody knew what was going on. Eventually, they just told the parents, like, we don't know what happened to your kids. They got lost on this hike. We're really sorry, etc. And investigators shut the camp down that summer, and that was it. Later that fall, about 3 months later, some students, the local scout group, were hiking, and they came upon this cave. And they heard sounds from inside the cave. And they went in and they followed the sounds, and deep in the cave, they found these kids. And they were like half starved to death. And it turns out that Jacob Shoemaker had taken those kids and hid them in the cave and didn't tell their parents. So Jacob Shoemaker and his son were arrested, went to jail. Kids were okay. But Vincent Shoemaker was so upset about his grandfather and dad, being arrested and everything, that he just took off into the woods. And no one ever heard from him again until a couple summers ago at Ramapo, when a kid went missing. And nobody knew what happened to the kid, but there were these rumors of this old guy who was like wandering around in the woods, long beard, kind of scraggly hair. And people wondered whether this guy was somehow related to what happened to this kid. So again, police were called, investigators were called, etc., etc. And they didn't know what happened until this old guy who lived nearby remembered the story of what had happened all those years ago and told police about this cave. And they went and looked in the cave, and they found these bones. And they tested the bones, and it turned out that it was the missing camper. And next to the bones, sort of drawn with like charcoal from like a fire on the ground, it just said, "I'll be back. Thee." And that happened, like in terms of like when they found the kid, that was was it 3 years ago tonight?
3 years ago tonight.
Like tonight, 3 years ago. So I'm just saying, if you guys on the hike back, if you see like some old guy with like a scraggly beard and kind of like matted hair wandering around in the woods, you should go the other way.
Let him climb, we can see here.
I'm gonna give him a hug.
Yeah, that too, John.
Okay?
Why we can see.
I'm gonna see him. Like, okay, man.
That's
give him
all
a
I'm
hug.
saying.
Like, how you doing? Okay.
All right. So
Here, just go back now.
well, hold on. Where's that cave at? I don't want to give any specifics about.
Where do those people? Where do the survivors live? Like, you know where they
They're probably living their normal lives.
How come you guys are still alive? I don't believe this.
So
They only want children, don't want you.
you guys can discuss the long, rich history
I'm nightmares now.
of this camp when you get back to lodge. I always want to let everybody know our campfire is winding down. Our night is winding down. In a moment, not yet, we are going to head back to Silverweed Lodge for the night. Please remember, as we're walking back out, those outside quiet hours are in effect. Please, people live around here. They really, really respect when people kind of walk through camp quietly. Feel free to talk and whatever. Also, remember, it's a little cloudy out, but you might be able to catch a glimpse of some stars as we walk through the walk through the field over there. All right? For tomorrow morning, breakfast is at 8:15. It is the expectation that everyone is at breakfast at 8:15. We have more than just our group waiting to have breakfast, so we'll be all getting there on time. We'll be at your lodge at 8 o'clock. By 8 o'clock, you should be packed up and pretty much ready to go. So if it takes you 45 minutes in the morning to get ready, please wake up in time. If it takes you longer, please do so. Also, any sort of other rules, that's going to be followed through by Ben, any sort of things you want to.
Yeah, can I just say?
Yes.
So, in addition,
Ben's trying to give us some.
in addition.